Okay, part 2 of the consumption test. So I've been here for a couple hours now. Didn't do much snow work because when I got to my tractor it had a flat tyre. So I've just been messing about for the last 2 hours, not actually done anything productive. Well, these things happen. So now it's time to drive 100 kilometres back to Chucky. So the car's been sat here for what time did it get here? I can't remember. It's been here for an hour or two, an hour and a half, 2 hours in the cold. Now it's minus 13. So everything should be cold. Let's check the battery temperature. Forgot to check the battery temperature after the rundown to see if the battery had heated up any. Let's check EV Notify. Okay, so the battery must have warmed up a little bit on the drive down. So now it's 0 degrees in its warmest place, -3 in its coldest place. So there must be a few sensors around a battery. Inlet is -5. So I don't think it'll have too much bearing on this test. It was -11. It was -10 or -11 the battery when we started before with the Webasto. Now it's -3 and 0. So not a great deal of difference. So let us go to Chucky, and then first of all, because it's flipping cold in here, it's 0 degrees in the car now. So let us put the heating on. Auto. $22 degrees. Heat button pressed. Driver only, so it's not wasting heat. Okay. So there's the specs from before. It's gone up because the car's been on for an hour because I was charging some camera batteries and stuff. So with the 220 volt outlet. Oh man, I love that. I love this car for having that. So I have to leave the car on so the battery doesn't go flat. And I think that doesn't work when the car's turned off anyway. So let us reset the data. 0. The lens is fogging up because it's so flipping cold. Let me wipe you. And it's snowing as well, so now let's check the instant EV. So you got your instant readouts there. 5 kilowatts the heater is using. 4.6, 4.4, 4.5. Okay, let's set off and see. So it was 21.0 kilowatt hours on the way down. Let's see if we can top that. So much snow. Heater's dropped down to 2.8 kilowatts now. 2.9, 2.99, 3, 2.9. So it looks like it's staying around 3. So it is minus 13 out, so it's not that cold. So it's using about 3 kilowatts to initially heat up the cabin. I think, once it gets up to temperature. But having said that, once we start driving and we got the wind chill factor, that might go up. Once we start going fast, it's going to take a lot of energy to keep the cabin warm. Now we've got 182 kilometers of range, and we've got 95 kilometers to go. So I've lost a lot of range. It's because I've put the heating on, that's why. I've got used to these like nice ranges now, and because the heating's always off, always gives a nice range, and then when you turn the heating on, boom, you lose 50 kilometers immediately in these temperatures. So I'm like, that's a little bit low. It's because the heating's on. So the car has factored that in. Like I think the algorithms in the Kia are pretty good, because it factors in, okay, it's minus 13. So it kind of knows how much energy we're going to use for this range at this temperature with the heating. Not exact, but it's pretty close. 2.76 kilowatts. So we're already using 27% of energy is going on heating. I won't mention the consumption yet because it's sky high because we've just started, so I'll let it settle a bit. So there is a 60 here, so we got to slow down for that, and then it's 100 the rest of the way, pretty much. So Webasto is turned off now, completely off. You turn the dial all the way back to 0, and there's no heat coming from that now, which seems crazy when you're driving on these snow-covered roads in Lapland at minus 13. It's just so nice to have a little bit of extra heat coming out. Okay, so I'm gonna put the camera down now, and I'll do an update in half an hour. Okay, we have some reindeer. Look, guys. That is one beauty of electric vehicles. You don't spook the animals as much as in a fossil car. Okay, may as well give an update while I'm here. So, consumption is 25.8, 25.9. Heater is using around 2.8 kilowatts. Pretty steady at 2.8 kilowatts. So, as we got 21, and the temperature is identical to the earlier run today, minus 13. So, one can conclude, if we drive for 1 hour with, let's say, 3 kilowatts of heating, then that will use 3 kilowatt hours. So if we've done 21 kilowatt hours on the way down, if we have 3 kilowatt hours extra now on the way up, it will be 24 kilowatt hours when we get back to our starting point. So we'll see how it is. But that's that 24 kilowatt hours and then 21 kilowatt hours. So yeah, it's not a bad saving using Webasto. I'm just going to have something to eat because I'm starving. I'm going to have a cinnamon roll because I love cinnamon rolls. It's in the back. I'm going to get it and continue driving. So that's the status now. Batteries are 44%. So the climate is using 15%. Driving is on 83%. Well, basically at the halfway point. So all is sort of going according to plan. But we'll see when we get back exactly. I'm going to crunch some numbers to see. But I mean, it's not really cold enough. It's only -13. So we're not using that much energy on the climate. It really needs to be colder. I would like it to be -25 or -30 degrees. Then it will give, there would be a much bigger margin then from using Webasto to car heater. But this is pretty relevant, I guess, to a lot of you in not such cold places. -13 is probably quite cold for where you live, and you might not get to the extreme temperatures that I get to. So this is probably quite relevant to a lot of winter drivers. So yeah, let's see. Back in a bit. Okay, we are back where we started. Consumption 23.7. 95 kilometers an hour and 9 minutes. So the climate, it's dropped a bit now because we're stationary. It's been using about 2.8 kilowatts, the heater. 15% of all energy use has gone to the heating. And interestingly, and that was quite low before, but now it's gone up to like 20. So I've set the temperatures to 22, and that has actually gone to 22. So thoughts. What can we learn from this? So it's been -12 most of the way, so it's a little bit warmer. Like very slightly warmer than the drive down. But there was a little bit dusting of snow on this drive up. So using Webasto only on the drive down, it was 21. And on the way back up, no Webasto and car heating, 23.7. Not that big of a deal. Or not that big of a difference. Okay, it's only -12. And the efficiency of this Kia e-niro is brilliant. It's got the heat pump in, and the heat scavenging is really good in the Kia. So, and I had it on driver only, so the rest of the car is probably a bit colder. So that was using just the driver only setting. If I was heating up the whole car, it would have been quite high, the climate. So like 2.8 kilowatts. So I would say, let's see then. So let's say you're driving 4 hours. Let's call it 24 kilowatt hours. So you're using 3 kilowatt hours extra per hour. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12. So 12 kilowatt hours on a 4-hour drive. You will save 12 kilowatt hours by using the Webasto instead of the car heater. So that's like 50 kilometers of range. So it's, I have to say, if you don't get a cold winter, then the Webasto or e-Spasher diesel heaters, there's no point putting them in, really. Even this -12, -13, I'm like, it's not a massive difference. It helps me because it's many hundreds of kilometers to the nearest rapid charger. So that 50 kilometers extra range in this temperature, that's nice. I will take. You know, if someone came up to you and went, I can give you 50 kilometers extra range in your EV, like that, you'd be like, yeah, okay, that's cool. 50 kilometers, wow. That's like, it is a significant amount. But if you're in somewhere with a lot of rapid charges and stuff, I guess you don't need a diesel heater. That said, I will do this test again when it's not so warm. I use the term warm relatively at -12. Ideally, let's check the weather and see if we're going to get any cold days coming up, because wow, that phone's really cold on the passenger seat. Huh. So that passenger seat is really cold. So that driver only setting is good in the Niro. Oh, it's like just snowing and not being cold. So not going to be able to do the cold test for probably at least a week, unless something changes. Yeah, it's going to be up all like -7, -9, -11, -14. So this is kind of as cold as I can do this test at the moment. So I would like to do it in like -30. And then there will be a big difference, because then the heater is using 5 kilowatts. So then the difference is going to be bigger. The colder it gets, the bigger the difference is between the Webasto and using the car heater, and so the range will get bigger. So if you live in like the south of Finland or southern Norway or like Switzerland or whatever, where you don't get like really cold, then it's questionable if you need this diesel heater, and especially if you've got good rapid chargers, you don't really need this diesel heater. So this is really just for like, if you're going to plan big, like, okay, maybe you do live somewhere like in Germany or France or whatever, and you're going to do a road trip to Lapland in the winter to see the Northern Lights or see reindeers or go snowmobiling, whatever. Then you could temporarily put the diesel heater in, and it will help. But it depends which Lapland you go into. Norwegian Lapland, they've just put in a brilliant charging network, 150 kilowatt charger and a 50 kilowatt charger and a couple AC chargers in a lot of places around Finnmark. Kudos to Norway, they've got it sussed up there. I'm actually only like 2 kilometers from Norway now, and there are some rapid chargers on the Norwegian side, but that's like the opposite direction to where I go. So, and it's like the nearest one is about 70 or 80 kilometers away. So it's like a 160 kilometer round trip to go and use the closest rapid charger, which is out of my way anyway. So only when I go to Norway I can use them. Because of the corona, I can't really drive in Norway now anyway. Like, there's border patrol on the borders. So if you were going to drive to Norway up to Norwegian Lapland, you got no problems because there's rapid chargers everywhere. Swedish Lapland is now getting lots of rapid chargers put in up and around Kiruna, and all over Swedish Lapland, you'll have no problems. Only Finnish Lapland, it's comical how bad it is up here with the charging infrastructure. So, well, maybe Canada, I don't know, Alaska, I don't know what the charging infrastructure is like there. Russia, there's not many, at least in the Murmansk area, I didn't see too many rapid chargers. I've looked on the app. So it might be useful in some countries where the infrastructure is not so good. I don't think you're going to need a diesel heater in countries that have good infrastructure. But if you live somewhere where the infrastructure's crap, basically, diesel heater's gonna help. Yeah, so I'll have to do another test, but now, so it's good for me. 50 kilometers of extra range at minus 12. That's good for me, but anyone else, it's questionable. You know, it's probably not worth it. The cost of the diesel heaters, they're about €1,000. Like, they're not cheap. You can get Chinese rip-offs, but I don't trust them. So, yeah, you could probably insulate the car actually, and get some good gains that way. Good energy saving gains that way. If you like, I've seen a ghetto way of insulation on windows is bubble wrap or cardboard. Although you struggle to see through cardboard, you struggle to see through bubble wrap. But like on the back windows or on the tailgate window, that would save a bit of energy. And I don't know, there's ways to insulate an EV. I would like EVs to be better insulated from the factory, but it doesn't seem to be happening. But I guess this market is pretty small, you know, in the Lapland and very, very cold places. I don't think there's that many in the grand scheme of things. I think like California and Netherlands and southern Norway, all those places, like, they sell tens of thousands of EVs, and like I'm the only person with an EV up here, so it's like one. That's me. So I'm not a great market share for the EV manufacturers. But that's that. So I'll leave the decision with you. If you think you need a diesel heater in your EV, I'll do some more testing in the serious cold. But until then, thanks for watching, and happy travels.